10 Astonishing Discoveries in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a land of astounding temperatures and unique cultural traditions. From the restrictions on women's clothing to mysterious and ancient brutal punishments, what kind of sparks might fly when power and religion collide? Welcome to Peaks World. Today, let's follow the camera to explore the 10 most astonishing discoveries in Saudi Arabia. Subscribe now and don't miss out on future exciting content. Number 10. Women wearing black robes. Anyone who has been to Saudi Arabia can sense a mysterious vibe. The faces of women in the desert, hidden behind black veils, seem like legends of the desert. Local women generally wrap themselves in black robes, adding a thin black veil, leaving only a pair of captivating eyes visible, which many find deeply attractive. Due to the hot climate, with summer temperatures reaching 40–50 degrees Celsius, wearing loose, large robes is both cool and airy. Additionally, during sandstorms, the headscarf can be used to cover the mouth and nose to prevent sand damage. Though it may appear exotic to outsiders, it embodies deep religious culture and traditional customs. According to Islamic culture, women should be modest and abstinent, avoiding exposing skin and hair, and refraining from showing their body curves. Married Arab women are not allowed to show their faces to anyone other than their husbands, and must avoid interactions with other men. These black robes are not just simple pieces of cloth. They are often detailed with patterns, beadwork, and different styles of headscarves. Saudi women must wear these robes when going out, a tradition deeply rooted in Saudi society and a cultural symbol. Some say this conservative attire protects women from harm, ensuring their safety and dignity. Number 9. Wealthy men, training maids. A Bangladeshi maid working in Saudi Arabia posted a video online, claiming her employer had sexually assaulted her and tied her up. The video, shared thousands of times on Facebook, shows the woman displaying her scarred arms, tearfully recounting her abuse. She pleaded to be taken home, describing her experience of being beaten, starved, and locked up for 15 days. This is an example of wealthy men mistreating maids not to improve their skills, but to satisfy personal desires. Such treatment robs these maids, who often come from poor countries seeking high wages, of their rights and dignity. Number 8. Women cannot drive. In this affluent yet peculiar country, women are prohibited from driving, including foreign women. In the 1990s, some brave women in Riyadh drove, but they were arrested and dismissed from their jobs. Globally, Saudi Arabia was the only country where women were not allowed to drive legally. Though there is no explicit law, women cannot obtain driver's licenses. If caught driving, they face severe consequences, similar to the penalties for drunk driving in some countries. Public transportation is poor, so women rely on husbands or drivers, making going out difficult and expensive. If you travel to Saudi Arabia and see a group of women in black robes waiting by the roadside for ride-hailing cars, it's not unusual. For women, going out is troublesome because they can only do so when their husbands are off work, or if the family has a driver. Public transportation is poor, and every family has its private car. However, hiring a private driver is expensive, making it challenging for women to go out. Number 7. Retaining stoning as a punishment. Saudi Arabia's criminal law is heavily influenced by Islam. In the 1970s, the kingdom executed Princess Mishal by stoning, an event later depicted in a British documentary, Death of a Princess. Stoning is a punishment for adultery under Islamic law, requiring 4 witnesses to the act. The condemned are buried partially in sand and stoned publicly, often involving family members in the execution. This brutal method is still in use, reflecting the severe penalties for crimes like adultery and theft under Islamic law.
6 extreme temperatures. Saudi Arabia is located on the Arabian Peninsula in Southwest Asia,
where most areas are tropical desert climates. Only the northern small areas and southwestern highlands have a subtropical Mediterranean climate. The terrain is high in the west and low in the east, with mountains along the Red Sea in the west, a plateau in the center, and desert plains in the east. Deserts cover 70% of the country, with the Great Nafud Desert in the north and the Rub al-Khali Desert in the south, the latter being the second largest sand desert in the world. These deserts significantly influence the climate. Most areas are dry with little rain, receiving 50–200 millimeters of precipitation annually. Summers are scorching,
with temperatures often reaching 50 degrees Celsius.
And ultraviolet rays burn the earth, challenging people's endurance. Despite this harsh environment, residents have adapted, surviving in extreme heat. However, the desert climate limits arable land to only 0.6% of the country's area, requiring the import of over 6 million tons of wheat, vegetables, and fruits annually. The lack of surface water sources, no rivers or lakes, means relying on underground water, making agriculture challenging and demanding significant food imports. Number 5. Oil-rich nation. Since discovering oil in the 1930s, Saudi Arabia has become a leading oil exporter, with proven reserves second only to Venezuela. The oil industry accounts for a significant portion of the nation's GDP, providing cheap fuel prices domestically. Saudi Arabia's proven oil reserves are 298 billion barrels, accounting for 17.2% of the world's oil production. The daily oil production is 12 million barrels, making Saudi Arabia the world's largest oil exporter and second largest oil producer as of 2021. The oil industry created a total value of $335,372 billion, surpassing the GDP of Iraq, Morocco, Rwanda, and Tonga combined. The Ghawar oil field near Al Hufuf in central Saudi Arabia is the largest proven oil field globally, with over 70 billion barrels, enough to fill 4.77 million Olympic-sized swimming pools. The Safania oil field in the northeast is the world's largest offshore oil field. The oil industry's value contributes to half of Saudi Arabia's GDP, with oil and related products being the country's primary export. This economic advantage allows Saudi Arabia to enjoy low oil prices, with gasoline costing only 0.7 yuan per liter. Number 4. High-end cars. Saudi Arabia's ground public transportation is underdeveloped and sparsely planned. However, owning a car is common due to low tariffs and affordable fuel costs. Every family has a private car, and fuel is very cheap, with 91-octane gasoline costing less than 2.18 yuan per liter, and 95-octane gasoline costing 2.33 yuan per liter. Owning a car is essential in Saudi Arabia, given the desert terrain and the need for suitable vehicles like pickups and off-road vehicles. The high level of desertification and semi-desertification, up to 95%, makes ordinary cars prone to getting stuck in the desert. The prevalence of private vehicles leads to severe traffic congestion, with fast-driving locals causing frequent accidents. The speed bumps on the roads are extreme, made of solid concrete, earning them the nickname real speed bumps.
No, the majority of workforce is foreign, with 80% of its labor force from abroad.
Primarily from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, Saudi Arabia relies heavily on foreign workers for low-wage jobs. These workers often face harsh living conditions, contrasting sharply with the wealth of the country. Saudi Arabia's labor force comprises about 8.41 million people, with 80% being non-Saudis. These foreign workers mainly engage in the oil and service industries. Many come to Saudi Arabia with high expectations of good employment and high wages, only to be disappointed by low-paying jobs in fields like restaurant service, private driving, sanitation, and small shop ownership. Ordinary positions, such as supermarket cashiers, are reserved for locals, while low-end service jobs are filled by foreigners, who struggle to make ends meet. Number 1. Ban on alcohol. After the 1980s, Saudi Arabia closed its cinemas, only reopening them in 2018. Local residents would typically travel to neighboring countries to watch movies or view them at home. However, the restrictions on entertainment in Saudi Arabia extend beyond this. Common establishments such as coffee shops, bars, and even food courts are absent, and street food stalls are also prohibited. In Saudi Arabia, alcohol is banned from production, sale, and consumption. If you are found drinking alcohol in Saudi Arabia, regardless of your identity or nationality, you will be punished. Anyone caught drinking alcohol faces severe penalties in Saudi Arabia. Offenders can be publicly flogged with 80 lashes or imprisoned for 6 months to a year. In addition to fines, the punishment for drunk driving is even harsher, with the possibility of public beheading. Even foreign visitors are not exempt from these rules. If caught drinking within Saudi territory, they face the same penalties. As a country that adheres strictly to Islamic laws, Saudi Arabia enforces the prohibition of alcohol as part of its religious observance, reinforcing social values and traditions. This strict policy on alcohol consumption can be a significant cultural shock for foreign tourists accustomed to drinking, leading to a clash of cultures. These 10 astonishing phenomena in Saudi Arabia highlight the country's unique and often challenging aspects. Which one left the strongest impression on you? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. See you next time.